The Tomb release was Season 2 on January 28, 2025, becoming the 4th map in Black Ops 6. Taking place in an abandoned excavation site also located in Avalon, the Staff of Ice returns as the map's wonder weapon, last seen in Black Ops 2's Origins. It acts mostly the same as it did in Origins, with the unupgraded version simply just shooting balls of ice. The upgraded version's charge shot, however, did get slightly changed. Instead of having 2 different charges that takes 3 or 6 shots respectively, it now just has a single charge that only takes 3 shots, and it's slightly shorter. The Shock Mimic returns from Modern Warfare Zombies. This special version of the Mimic first appeared in MWZ as a mini-boss, and as you'd expect, it acts just like a regular Mimic but with a significantly toned down shock ability, as it's no longer a mini-boss. Whenever you get grabbed, you become shocked with an effect that's like a shark charge from MP. It also can EMP stuff like Casimirs when thrown near it. Parasites, vermin, doppelgauss, and amalgams also reappear on the map. Death Perception for some reason returns after last being seen in MWZ. Same effects as last time, just being able to see enemies through walls and getting 6 augments tied to it, so at least has that.
The Obscurus Altilium amulet should help locate the Sentinel artifact.
In my first attempt, I do my standard Black Ops 6 routine. Turn on the Rampage Inducer and make points until the first bug round. Once that first bug round ends, I turn the Inducer off and then continue making points. At round 8, a Mimic will always spawn in, and killing him will drop the first Ice Staff part. Then I start opening up the map, and once I get to the bottom, I can place the monocle I got from the Mimic on this pedestal. Doing this will open up a portal to the Dark Ether. In here I can shoot this floating rock to cause it and other rocks to begin spinning around the area. Shooting one of them makes it stop, and after shooting all of them, I get a free tier 1 Pack Crystal and some Cryo Freeze. I'm not even really going to be using this weapon, so it's nice to get free shit for it so I'm not going to waste my points in salvage. I get Jug and begin shooting these Ether Lanterns to start getting the next Ice Staff part. At round 11, I can use that free Cryo Freeze I got to shoot these waterfalls and get a free Epic Ether tool. Made points for a bit while remembering to shoot the lanterns. The reason I'm doing this is because if I get it to spawn in a specific area, it'll spawn some symbols on a wall that I can shoot. Once I finally get the lantern in that room, I can look at the symbols, and these symbols correlate to a number. But essentially, after shooting them all, it'll begin a lockdown in which an orb will spawn in, and it'll go around the room, spawn some enemies in. I just gotta do that a few times, and once it ends, I can pick up another Ice Staff piece. Or that's what I would say if the server didn't freeze. I really thought I was gonna have to restart here, but thankfully it came back. This is actually the first time I've ever gotten a server freeze like that in BO6. I've been lucky enough not to get something like that, and I'm quite glad I didn't go down or the server didn't crash. Man, I sure do love online solo zombies. Anyways, after that I throw some Molotovs at these things to get a free perk. Got PhD, which is always welcome, then I go back to shooting the lanterns because I gotta do that symbol stuff again. Next I went to go do a SAM trial, and you know, it made me realize I kinda started neglecting these. And that's a pretty big shame because these are definitely the best trial system things in zombies. You know, ever since the Tomb came out, I feel like you just kind of don't really go for them as much. Now, I don't really know why. I just like see them and it's kind of like, by the time they spawn in, I usually have my perks or my shit's packed. So, you know, I feel like I gotta start doing them again. Because, you know, sometimes they give good ass rewards. Not this time. I got Melee Macchiato, which, you know, free perk's free perk, but not gonna be using a melee weapon. But anyways, I finally get the lantern to spawn in the next room, and I do the lockdown again, shoot the symbols, you know, do all of that, and this will give me the third and final Ice Staff part. Once I have all 3 parts, I can go back into the Dark Ether and place them in this altar. Doing this will begin a lockdown / defense where I just gotta survive while defending the Ice Staff from attacks. Once that's done, I gain the staff and can now begin upgrading it. I head back to the overworld and line up 3 lanterns, and I get a pretty damn good lineup, so I quickly shoot them with the staff. I believe you have to freeze them within 10 seconds, but it's seemingly a pretty long 10 seconds. After that, I head back into the Dark Ether and find 3 symbols on some floating rocks. And these symbols will look familiar to any modern Go for zombie heads out there. Once I shoot all 3, one of the 4 portals leading out of the Dark Ether will close, and I'll need to head back to it in the overworld. Once I find it, I put the symbols into it and it'll bring me back into the Dark Ether. And this will begin an escort step. It's a lot like the final step of Tog, where it's an orb that'll float around and it'll stop unless you feed it zombies. Once it goes around the area, it'll go into the altar, light it up, and then I can put the Ice Staff in it to gain the Ul's Arrow. While I find the Ice Staff's return really just unnecessary and kind of unneeded, it is kind of cool seeing it in another setting. Any of the staffs are a wonder weapon I just thought would never return, and I honestly kind of wish it didn't. And if they really did want to bring one back, why the Ice Staff? I like the Ice Staff, but, you know, come on, the Wind Staff was right there. But anyways, I can start getting the rest of my perks and finish setting up. I didn't really know if I was going to train around 40 like usual because, I mean, I just like, there's not really any unique weapon to run around with on here. The Ice Staff's okay, but it's not a training weapon. I'm actually just realizing right now I could have brought in the FAMAS to get Opal on it because I still got to do that. That, probably would have been a good idea. Obviously, you can't pack the staff, so I didn't really need points anymore apart from perks. So I just spun the box and got the sector and decided, nah, fuck it, I'll use that for a while because it is one of my favorite weapons in the game. So I just trained in the Dark Ether for a little bit. I was planning on going to 40, but it's just, I didn't really feel that much of a reason to, so I just stopped at 36. But I do love training in the Dark Ether. I actually love the tomb for the sole purpose of getting on it to train in the Dark Ether. I like everything else in the map apart from the eye staff, but going in the Dark Ether alone makes this map like just so enjoyable to play. This Dark Ether doesn't look as good as MWZ's. I mean, like the actual area you run around on looks fine, but the skybox is kind of fucked up. But I mean, it still looks good. I just kind of wish that they did more of a 3D skybox. I wonder why they had to do that. But at 36, I decided to leave and go to the high range strat. So for the high range strat, I sit right by stamina up and just blast the eye staff right on the ground. Where I shoot it should cover all around me and will even go through the wall to my left. To my left is a window, and because the eye staff isn't affected by walls, I guess, it'll go into it and kill any zombies that spawn there and also start damaging any specials that spawn in there. Speaking of specials, while the ice staff does damage mimics and doppelgangers pretty good, it falls off pretty quickly into the 40s. So to take them out quickly, we got energy mine with the turret augment and the longer lasting life augment, whatever it's actually called, I can't remember, but it's the one that makes it last longer. You get your energy mine back pretty quickly while doing this because you just annihilate every single zombie that spawns in, and especially with Arsenal Accelerator, you get it back like in seconds. So you get to a point where you have like 4 down in front of you and it will annihilate anything that isn't a normal zombie. Amalgams I did not think would die quickly to it, but they just get wiped if they go anywhere near it. I never realized, but they do produce electrical damage, so I mean, amalgams are weak to electrical damage, so shit. Honestly, I gotta put this high round on like die rise levels of easy, like TOG levels of easy. I did not think that they could do it, but like I felt nothing doing this around 100. It was just so, like, don't get me wrong, I like the tomb. I think it gets an undeserved bad rep, but it might be one of the most mindless high rounds in zombies. But honestly, that's more of a BO6 issue overall. I hope BO7 has more engaging high rounds, but probably not. Really not much else to say. It went pretty smooth. I did have a close call at 89. I thought the vermin to my right were frozen by the staff, but we're not, and they just smacked the shit out of me. And I popped my anywhere but here, thank God I had that because, no Ether Shroud. And I'm also realizing now, I don't have Dying Wish on. I was testing, what was it, like, Equivalent Exchange, the other Quick Revive Augment, and I never put Dying Wish back on. So if I didn't have that anywhere but here, I would have absolutely went down. But that's all the scary shit that happened, so let's just get on with the tier list. So like I said earlier, I feel like the tomb gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I keep hearing that people are like surprised that it took up an entire DLC slot, but they never said the map was a filler, and I get it's small and it has a returning wonder weapon, but there's not anything else other than those 2 things, and even though the map size really isn't a factor in that would say that this is a filler map. Honestly, I'm a pretty big fan of the tomb. It's like on one of my go-to options every time I get on the game. Like, it's usually this map or Terminus, just because like I love training in the Dark Ether so fucking much. It's like it's one of my favorite areas in any zombies map. It's like it's so good. I'm so glad they finally put a Dark Ether section like that in a round-based map. Here's hoping that one day we can get a full map in the Dark Ether. The Mimic coming back was pretty cool. He's one of my favorite specials. Honestly, I don't really got any problems with that. A new special obviously would have been preferred, but if they were going to bring anything back, I'm glad it was the Mimic. The Easter egg song is not really my thing. I'm just not a fan of that kind of music. If I was, I'd probably enjoy it. But, it's the instrumental is pretty good. I can at least listen to that, but unfortunately I don't got a lot to say about it just because it's not my thing. The quest is pretty good. It's way too short though. It's got to be one of the shortest quests of all time. It's just, there should have been a few more steps tied to just interacting with things in the Dark Ether itself. I wish it was a lot longer than it was, but the boss fight, it was okay. Yeah, I think it's the weakest in BO6 so far, but it's definitely not bad. The map itself, the layout is really good. I like how it wraps around. You can go into the Dark Ether. It's got a good amount of fast travels. And then the design, God, I love it. I love the cave. Obviously, I've already glazed the Dark Ether enough, but I love the Dark Ether. I love Spawn. I love how the map looks. I don't know if I would necessarily say I love the map, but I do like it more than Liberty Falls. And Liberty Falls is in love, so I think I might have to rework how I do the tier list, because I wouldn't necessarily say I love the tomb, but I would rather play it over Liberty Falls, and that's how everything is like put in the tier list of like, obviously in the favorites it's the favorites, but the Zetsubo is above D Machine because it's my favorite and I'd rather play Zetsubo over D Machine, and then Dead of the Night is above Ancient Evil because I'd rather play Dead of the Night than Ancient Evil. But those two can be interchangeable. What I'm trying to say is I might change what the actual like boxes are, because I like the tomb more than Liberty Falls, but I wouldn't say I love the tomb. But you know, for now it's just gonna go up there in love until I rework it. But you know, there's where it is. That's where we're at in the tier list. Round 100 was hit in 1 hour and 58 minutes, and I believe it holds the record for my second shortest round 100, and it could have been even shorter if I entered the strat earlier. But anyways, I popped my exit strat, killed the horde, and right off, leaving the tomb behind.